Here's CJ Gardner-Johnson on the Buccaneers, not Rams, receivers. This group probably is one of the better groups we've faced all years because that Tampa group, if you give that Tampa group a good quarterback, that's a great group. Edwins, Godwin, Gage, that's a great group. I played against them for real. I guess that was about the Rams receivers. I confused myself with that. He was taking a shot at the Bucs receivers. This is last week preparing against the Rams game. It was the shot, however, against the Buccaneers that did not go unnoticed by Baker Mayfield, who responded to the preemptive slight from CJ Gardner-Johnson yesterday. Here's what Mayfield had to say.
I don't think he's really watched film because you mentioned Russell Gage. You know, we love Russell, but Russell hasn't played a snap all year for us. He must be going off the preseason stuff that the media was talking about, but he didn't play our first game, so I'm excited to see him. I think he's a really good player. He has been for a while, and he's been an impactful guy on every team he's been on. So he's a good player, but yeah, he's got to do a little bit more film study.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not the first time that we've had something like this happen where somebody just completely misspeaks on someone who isn't around for a team, and maybe he confused Gage with somebody else. Regardless, it's just one of those little things that gives the Buccaneers a little something. Not that it's going to matter. Something else Baker Mayfield said yesterday, he talked to some of his former Rams teammates about how loud it was, and they said they'd never heard anything like it before. That's what the Buccaneers are walking into on Sunday. So I don't know how much motivation you take from the C.J. Gardner-Johnson comment. I don't think that's going to make the difference when it is deafening in that Ford Field Dome, and we'll be there on Sunday for the game that starts at 3 o'clock Eastern.
Yeah, no, it adds a little edge, certainly. It does. You know, it's one of those where you just go, you know, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, why say it about a team that you knew you possibly can end up playing the next week, right? Like, keep all teams that are in the playoffs out of your mouth. Don't give them bulletin board material because you're going to have to deal with it. And, yeah, and you know, and within talking about it, he kind of looks silly, like you kind of mentioned and Baker mentioned. Like, Russell Gage hasn't played all year. And the facts of the matter are, like, when you say something like that, you know, for someone like me, you kind of lose me, right? Because it just shows me you're not really watching the game at all. You're just you're a name guy. You're a name, like Baker Mayfield's played way better than Tom Brady did last year. The numbers say that. The statistics say that. Watching a game will tell you that. There's everything. Every checkpoint goes, Baker's done better than Tom Brady did last year. So that's where it's a misinformed low blow attempt by Chauncey Gardner-Johnson that will add to just a little bit more chippiness to Sunday when we're on the field. That'll be fun to watch.
And they didn't even realize they'd be facing the Buccaneers.
No, but
Could have
just
been
they're
the
in the
Eagles
playoffs.
at
Be
that
quiet. Don't talk about any team in the playoffs right now.
Speaking of the Buccaneers and speaking about the difference between Brady and Baker Mayfield and the way the team is this year, Todd Bowles said something yesterday that some are regarding as maybe a little slight on Tom Brady, but talking about the Lions, Bowles said they feel like they have grit because they came on last year. They came on very tough, and they proved to be mentally tough this year. We got mentally tough this year. They probably got a year head start on us, but there's some similarities that way. We're still two different teams. They got a year head start on being mentally tough. Last year it was Tom Brady. They weren't mentally tough. That's the implication of what Bowles said. This year with Baker Mayfield, they're mentally tough. A little bit of a contrast that Bowles probably didn't intend, but it's still there.
Yeah, I don't think he intended it that way either. I think he's more going, we found our groove for being tough this year and what we needed to be. Last year, yeah, again, they couldn't run the ball at all. They weren't great at protecting. And Brady, as we talked about a lot last year, did not want to stand in there and take any hits to throw the ball down the field or be tough and aggressive that way. And that translated to what we saw in the football field, let alone, I mean, again, I know it's the GOAT and all that, but we talk about distractions all the time, and the GOAT had like the biggest distraction we've seen out of any quarterback in football in the last 2, 3, 4 years, where he missed training camp for 2 weeks because he had to deal with a divorce and all of that. And he was going to Robert Kraft's, wedding 2 nights before a game and all that. So those things don't translate, again, to tough. I know it's the GOAT, and we're not supposed to point those things out. But, the GOAT did some things wrong last year, or not all in his control, but certainly affected the football team. And they couldn't be as tough, I think, because of some of that stuff, too.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll look at some prop bets for the divisional round. That's next here on PFT Live. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.